So team news first, Brian.
Yeah, not a bit of change. Brett Ferris comes back. He'll be off the bench. Brett Delaney has recovered from a neural problem he had. It wasn't an hamstring. We always thought it was an hamstring last week in warm-up, but he's had an epidural this week, which is interesting, isn't it? So we brought him some flowers and grapes while he was in hospital, and no. So Brett makes it through. Jack Walker has got a tight hamstring, so we're going to stand him down, and Ash Golden will play fullback.
How big a boost is it to have someone like Brett Ferris back at this point of the season?
Well, it's good for him. At this stage right now, it's good for him, and it's good that he gets some game time under his belt. Whether, given that he hasn't run for such a long period of time, and he hasn't. We've only got 3 games left, regular games left, and possibly 4. So we'll see. We'll see what he offers us, but he gets a chance to throw his hat into the ring and see if he gets selected for the big game, which is in a couple of weeks' time.
Given that second spot's sealed up now, what are you hoping to get out of the next 2 games?
Well, we can't mess around, and we can't fluff around with these next 2 games. But they're not must-win games, and they're not. It's not do or die. It's not knockout. It's not any of those. But we don't want to lose. We don't want to go into the games and lose. We certainly don't want to play poor. But we've got to make sure that we maintain a bit of momentum. Maintain that be sure that we can maintain a little bit match fitness. There's a few things we need out of it.
Clearly, in terms of team selection, there's no sort of temptation to experiment from the team that you've selected. But in terms of style, is there a temptation maybe just to try something different?
No, I don't think it's as easy as that.
So
and I don't know what good it would do. Yeah. I could tell them that every time we play the ball, we need to pass it twice. We play those games at training. We could maybe do that in a game. And I'll tell you from experience, sometimes that works as well. But it can mess you up, and it can go the wrong way, and it's just the wrong time of year to be doing this. You may experiment, and I think experiment's the wrong word, but you may test and adjust with team selection and playing. Tinker's the wrong word.
Sorry.
At this stage of the year, you may adjust. Test and adjust is the right phrase, Jimmy, with team selection. But then, as I said last time we spoke about this, I don't have a 40-man squad where you can drag in another 10 blokes, so there's not much we can do, not much we want to do.
What are you expecting from Salford?
Big win for them last week. That raised everybody's eyebrows, them beating Huddersfield with the scoreline that they did. And I know they've been on a really tough run of performances and losses recently. But their coach obviously won't have been happy, but I think looking in, they haven't been that far off in games and not losing by a massive scoreline. So I don't think we're facing a team who've been fantastically out of form. So they'll be good.
Liam Sutcliffe has signed a new deal this week.
Yeah,
how significant is that for you?
Yeah, I think it's a big one. That's he'd be hot property on the market. Sort of. He's a fantastic athlete, young, got a wealth of experience already. Been playing first team since 2013. Can goal kick, brilliant defender. A fair few things going for him. And he may say different, but I don't think he ever wanted to leave Leeds. That's the feeling we've always got. But we're finding more and more nowadays that the juniors, they just want to see what's out there first, and they're getting tempted with what's out there first. And with the world of transparency that we've got, social media, and we all know what somebody's thinking in Manchester's, don't we, on that afternoon because of Twitter and all this type of stuff. He's now, our juniors and our fringe players and our hot property, our own hot property that we produced, that we signed on as 13-year-olds, and by the time they get to 16, 17, 18, when we say, right, we want you to commit to us and we'll commit to you, it's not as easy a decision anymore as what it used to be. It's they say, yeah, well, I'd like to commit, but just let me just fend off some of these options, many options I've been offered so far. And I think he went through that process, but it's great that he's gone through. In actual fact, it qualifies how much he wants to stay with us. That he's ended up signing a contract with us, it's great.
I guess with the Torontos, Toulouses of this world, there's more attractive adventures, isn't there, out there for young players? So do you have to try and convince them?
There's more lucrative contracts.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're an attractive venture. I'm not sure going signing for anybody is a more attractive option. Yeah, I think this is a great club to sign for. The shirt wears heavier with us. That's what they all know. And somebody like Sutty, who's been through some wins and losses with us and been through some tough times with us, already he's got a huge amount of experience. He knows sometimes when we do lose and we lose bad, it's heavy, it's hard, and you've got to batten down the hatches. You can't walk around Leeds, and sometimes that gets to players. And I've said this on a number of occasions. You've got to want to pitch yourself in the toughest environment to sign for us. You know, it's not a breeze just playing for us. It can be quite difficult, but at the same time, there's some brilliant parts of signing for us and playing for us, and it's a great club to be at. There'll be more lucrative offers out there, and was more lucrative offers out there, but that's a testimony to his mentality that he can work out. He's got the intellect to know that while he may have to forego a few grand now, in the long run, financially and on a career level, it's best to stay with us.
With some of the more mature players leaving this year, how important is it to keep players at that bracket here as well?
Yeah, it's a good one. I think that bracket that he's in, he knows what our club's about. He's certainly not one of the senior blokes by any stretch, and I won't regard him as a leader just yet. But potentially in the next 2, 3, 4 seasons, he starts to get into that bracket, and it is important that we keep those fellas, signed on. They progress through, and let's hope he's signing another deal in another few years' time. And then he's one of the seniors, he is one of the leaders, and he can turn around to the young 20-year-olds saying, this is what it's like here. I know we've just been turned over by 40 or 50 points. Don't flap, the world won't end. We have to play next week, and you just need that level of experience to be able to speak to your juniors like that. Let's hope he's one of those in a few years' time.
What about his position? Where do you sort of see him long term?
I won't speak for him, but at the moment he's doing a fine job as a centre. He'll tell you where he wants to play. He's no slouch as a fullback. Can play second row and doesn't mind the biff and bash of the second row. And obviously has played a lot of standoff for us as well. So there's a fair amount of positions he can play. He rightly has got a concern that he spends the next 2, 3 seasons jack of all trades and never really nails one down. And I'm with him on that. So we're working through some stuff there. But at the same time, while he's got that concern, he's also saying, look, give me a shirt, I'll tip my guts into it for you. And whatever you want me to play, I'll play. And they're a dream to coach them fellas. Ash Goldman's another player. We've got a few. Jamie Jones is another fella who's like 30 years older than them blokes, and he's similar. You just give me a shirt, coach, and I'll do whatever I want, wherever you want me to.
Thank you, Brian.
In terms of Liam, he said you were one of the big reasons he stayed. Were you always confident?
Did he?
He did, yeah. Were you always confident he would stay?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I thought about it like that. We knew he was questioning himself whether he wanted to stay or not, and we also know that there were people out there and clubs out there and all manner of people, agents and managers and people offering him different options to come away. So we had to just chew through that. I don't think we ever thought, yeah, he's going to stay. Never presumed he was going to stay. But at the same time, I never really flapped that he would leave either. So I think having that level of honesty and transparency with players is the key. So you can't fall out with them. You've got to be reasonable with them. You've got to understand that there are people out there and there are possibly initial better offers out there. And if while you're managing it through this situation, you've got enough awareness of that and you're reasonable with it, there's no reason to fall out. Even if Sutty left, we wouldn't have fallen out. But we know he's a Leeds lad. We know he's always wanted to stay at Leeds, and he was just working himself through a process.
Do the likes of JJB and that get into his here a little bit and just remind him?
They do. I don't think it's an official. Yeah. Do you know, it's an interesting one. I think the way Jonesy is more convincing than any chat that Jonesy might give him. And that's the thing. Whatever comes out your mouth sometimes is, you know, they're probably listening to it thinking, well, you're bound to say that. It's more how you are with them and what your actions are like. So, you know, Liam and myself never sat down and had that many deep and meaningful chats about it. But certainly operating with him and selecting him and not selecting him and picking him in different positions and how you give him feedback during the process where he's thinking I might want to be away from the club, I think that's more effective. Hold your nerve with them, don't sulk with them, don't be reasonable with them. Hopefully they'll come. And if doing that, they still don't want to sign with you.
You said you'd had a chat with him about positional wise. Do you know, have you got an idea where he might feature more regularly moving forward next season?
Well, I think he does a good job as a centre. But that's not his position just yet. I won't give that to him just yet. I know Jimmy Kainost, who's not playing this week, who's been left out of the team, he's a very good centre as well. So whoever plays centre on a regular basis needs to be a very good player. And I'm not going to shoe on anybody in there, shoe them in there. And such is in the environment at the moment where, you know, if he doesn't attain that certain level every single week, he's got Jimmy staring at him as well.
Joe Moon, is his growing problem okay now, or is that just an ongoing issue you're going to have to monitor for the rest of the year?
At this stage it's all right. It's all right, but it worries you. It does concern you how long that will stay there for. But he's playable and he'll play this week.
And you said throughout the season, it's not where you are at that point, it's where you're at the end of it. We're nearly at the end of it now. Where do you feel your squad is?
Ready for a big game in 2 weeks. We're ready for a big game in 2 weeks and ready to tip in on that one.
Because for what everyone says, you know, about the likes of Castleford, and as well as they have done, it is ultimately in the semi-finals about who turns up, and then again in the grand final, isn't it?
It is. Rob Burrow just said something on the field there after captain's run, and he's absolutely right that you don't want to get to a stage where you've got to come up with a performance that we haven't come up with for quite some time. Now I'm confident about the form that we're in. I know the first half against Castleford was flat again. You know, we got distracted and rattled for varying reasons. Second half I thought was great, and in many ways, if you had a script of, you know, I want to see how tough we are, I want to see how much minerals we've got, that was good. It was good for us that we put that second half performance in. But previous to that, I think we've been a decent nick. You know, I think we've defended with some tenacity. I think we've showed enough in attack, and got over some really good teams in recent weeks. You know, Wigan, Hull a couple of times, Saints a couple of times. So I think at this stage of the year we've done enough to give ourselves confidence, and we'll get through these next 2 games. It's a funny one, these next 2 games. As I've already said, we don't want to lose them, but it's all about what happens in a game in the semi-final in a couple of weeks.
Have you been watching what's been going on behind you? Because there's a real battle, isn't there? Whoever gets that final or those final 2 places is going to have to go right to the wire to get them.
I have, yeah. It's either going to be, we're either going to face Wigan, Hull, Wakefield or Saints, aren't we? Is that right?
Not sure about Saints if they can get third, but yeah, those
All
are
right,
the 4.
okay.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, okay. So, yeah, it's important we keep a tab on that.